At the time of recording this video in May 2019, we could be less than a month away from discovering what Apple's revamped top-of-the-range desktop Mac will look like. In this video, I'll talk about what we might see and why not everyone is likely to be happy. Make sure you watch right to the end of the video because I'll be offering one opinion on the new Mac Pro that you probably haven't heard. I'm Andy Clayton, and on this channel I cover a range of topics, not just tech, so please like and subscribe for more. You know what to do. When Apple released the first Mac Pro in August 2006, on the outside it looked very much like the Power Mac G5 it had replaced. However, inside it was a totally new machine. It used a traditional tower format that most computers came in at the time, but in a modern, solid, all-metal chassis. It felt and looked premium. This computer would become affectionately known as the cheese grater. Outside, it had plenty of ports: 5 USB 2, 2 FireWire 400, 2 FireWire 800, optical, audio in and out, and a dual-layer SuperDrive. It was a fully featured, top-of-the-range machine. Now, for professionals at the time, alarm bells rung because despite the Mac Pro being a great computer, it was the last Mac to be transitioned from PowerPC to Intel processors, the Mac Pro having 2 dual-core Xeon chips at its heart. This was unfortunately a sign of things to come, as the machine received little attention over the next few years, with just a handful of spec bumps and generally unimpressive updates, until even those stopped in 2012, with that update being barely noticeable from the version that had shipped in 2010. This lackluster support led many Pro users to suspect that Apple didn't care anymore and was only interested in selling phones. And to a certain extent, despite what the company says, there's probably an element of truth about that. However, at the Worldwide Developers Conference in 2013, a replacement machine was finally unveiled. The new Mac Pro resembled a bin, which is why it's unaffectionately become known as the trash can. This computer has modern specs: internal SSD, fast RAM, Thunderbolt 2 as well as USB, but it has no internal storage, and apart from the RAM, you're pretty much stuck with how it leaves the factory. However, that's not the worst of it. Inside the trash can has 2 GPUs, that's graphics cards to you and me, with Apple banking on software developers using the second ultra-fast card for processing data, which is precisely what didn't happen. In development terms, it made much more sense to have a CPU, the processor, with lots of cores. It's easier to program and has less of an overhead, meaning that the expensive second GPU sits in the trash can, acting merely as a part of the elaborate cooling system, which incidentally works quite well. I bought a cheese grater Mac Pro in 2006 and upgraded to a trash can in 2013. Well, 2014, as it took weeks to get here. In 2017, Apple admitted that they had got it wrong, and the trash can's second graphics card is not the way to do it. But worse than that, the architecture can't cope with faster CPUs with more cores. In their own words, they'd engineered themselves into a thermal corner, which is quite an achievement when you work in a round building. They said that a new totally revamped modular machine would follow in 2019, and although nothing can be certain, June's WWDC seems a fair shout for a sneak peek at this new box. But what exactly does modular mean? Some commentators have speculated that a modular Mac Pro will be like some kind of Lego computer, made up of different boxes that you can slot together like some kind of silicon Jenga. You want a faster Mac Pro? Buy a CPU upgrade box. You want faster graphics? Buy a graphics module. For a while I thought there may be some merit to that argument, even if I didn't think that it would work quite like that. However, the release of the 2018 Mac Mini gave me serious doubts. After all, why release a pro-oriented Mini when an entry-level Lego Mac Pro would probably be the same kind of machine? It all seems a bit far-fetched to me, to be honest. I feel that it's far more likely that the modular refers to the factory assembly line, how Apple put together and build the machines, and later change elements of it without having to retool large parts of their production line. At the other end of the scale, there are vocal supporters of bringing back something akin to the cheese grater. It's certainly possible that this will happen, although if it does, I feel it'll be far more compact, and I also think that the one big thing that cheese grater supporters often want, which is to be able to plug in just about any piece of internal update that they want to into the chassis, just won't happen. Not on your Nelly. No, no, no. You won't be able to plug an Nvidia card into the new machine. It just won't happen. It'll be upgradable for sure. However, it'll be with a limited set of Apple supplied components. Perhaps that's the modular element after all. There's one other thing to bear in mind about the new Mac Pro. The old machine was many things to many people. I'm a web developer and no other Mac was really up to the job for me. However, that's just not the case now. There are plenty of options out there if you use a Mac professionally. I now use an iMac Pro and I think it's wonderful. Other professionals would find a laptop or the new Pro-oriented Mac Mini would do the job for them very nicely. I think the new Mac Pro will be for the very highest demanding customers that Apple has. People who need such extraordinary processing power that mere mortals don't need on a day-to-day basis. People in science or with multiple simultaneous demanding tasks. Most people just won't think it's worth it. So why make it at all? They probably won't sell that many, but McLaren don't sell many F1s. That doesn't stop them making them. There's one other part of this that is my own opinion, and not one that I've heard anybody else mention. What if the new Mac Pro is also a perfect machine to be a server, a modern day Xserve? Why not get back into that market? Yes, macOS server is seriously crippled and basically useless update not worth getting out of bed for, but that could change. A powerful space grey Apple server will be something to seriously lust after in a totally non-pervy way. A really off-the-wall suggestion would be a new Mac Pro that uses an ARM processor. It's almost inevitable that Apple will move one day from Intel to their own Apple chips. Could this be the start of that transition? That's it. What do you think? Just a few thoughts on what may happen in a video that will be out of date hopefully within a month. If Apple do make an announcement in June, then I'll follow up later that month with my thoughts. What do you want from the new Mac Pro? Be sure to leave your comments and don't forget to hit that subscribe and like buttons as that encourages me to make content for the channel. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Andy Clayton. I'll catch you next time.